You are now tuning in to the Going North podcast with your host, best-selling author and professional speaker and member of the John Maxwell team, Dominic Dom Brightman. And every Monday and Thursday, we're going to hear the voice of a different author sharing their gifts, stories, and expertise to help you charge forward in life. Now let's get on with the show. And today on the Going North podcast, we bring you some fabulous humans from across the globe. Today's no different because we got one heck of a lady in the building, baby. I'm telling you, one heck of a lady author. This fabulous author right here has published an award-winning book. Not only has she published an award-winning book, this fabulous lady also has listed in the bio that she is a Black Indian woman born into a family legacy of gifted healers from Native American Iroquois tribe and the Nigerian Neri Kingdom. My goodness, folks, we got Queen Mother Earth in the building times two in one human being. And as a soul medium, spiritual coach, and storyteller, this fabulous lady right here shares with audiences a transformative healing journey from parental abandonment, rape, being an outcast because of her spiritual gifts, and a near suicide to becoming a student of God and embracing her spiritual inheritance to heal herself and help others do the same. So let's give it up for this fabulous lady right here from the Double P, known as Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Let's give it up for the DJ herself, Miss Deneen Joyner. How you feeling today, man?
I'm wonderful, Dom. And yourself?
Doing wonderful too. Because I feel like I won. We got some chocolate back in the house, baby. That's right. That's right. We both in this box together right now, metaphorically.
Yes, yes, we are. And I'm excited and happy to be here.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. So congrats, award-winning author. You got a medal under your belt now. How's it feel?
It feels wonderful. It really does to be recognized for my spiritual memoir. And, this is my first book. And so it really is rewarding to actually receive, the accolades and just the visibility and just the support that I've been receiving from people far and wide who have read my book and resonate with the message and just really appreciate the wording and me sharing and being so vulnerable. So it's been beautiful.
Yes, indeed. Probably been extra beautiful with some stilettos on the book too, right? That's right. That book spreading its knowledge, right?
Yes, for sure. Yes, yes.
Woohoo! Well, as with all introductions, are not allowed to be 53 hours long. So mind filling in any cavities where I missed some things and fill us in on who the fabulous DJ is.
Well, you pretty much beautifully expressed it, in summary. I'll go in a little more detail. I am my parents' seventh daughter, all girls. I've been gifted since I was 5. I've had an array of gifts such as being psychic, intuitive, an empath, clairvoyant. I guess I could say I have all the clairs, clairsentient, clairvoyant,
I like that.
clairaudient. I always say all the clairs. And and actually I was a shaman in the making. I didn't realize that until my healing came about, but I was actually being prepared as a shaman since I was 5. So, basically who I am is all of the gifts that I just described. And my book really highlights the journey that I took in trying to fully embrace them because I never understood them. And on some levels, I thought I was really being cursed by having them because I really never knew what they were for. And so not having that understanding and not having the freedom to even talk about them for fear that people would not believe me and or maybe put me away somewhere, I just kind of, hid it and kept it to myself. And so, These gifts are really the essence and heart of who Deneen is. And so I've been able to use them in a number of different ways to really just help and guide people with emotional pain and to uncover their spiritual inheritance.
Oh, yes, indeed. That's right. So we got a chocolate goddess in the building. That's right. Who's got all the clears? That's what I'm talking about.
Yes.
That's
Yes.
right. Will there be eclairs down the road?
Oh, I love eclairs. I love it. You shouldn't even have asked that.
Oh, see, now I probably got you off your naughty dot. It's like, yeah, I'm gonna be a good human. I'm gonna limit the eating during this whole nonsense where we're supposed to stay indoors. Oh,
Yes.
eclair. Oh, never mind.
Oh, I could go for one for sure.
That's right, with all the cream.
Of course.
That's right, because the cream rises to the top like yourself. So you mentioned how you kept your gift hidden for so many years because of the possible pushback and heck, even the pushback that appeared after words when some folks already knew in your family already. So what helped you to really decide to really just, you know what, just say, screw it, let's do it. Let's take off this metaphorical gift wrapping and be honest about my gifts and share with the world. What helped you to overcome that?
It was during my healing journey, really, that I, really just got back in touch with who I am at the core. I had to go back to the beginning, which was to really sit down and look at my family in a way that I hadn't before. I have to say that I got to a point, and you spoke about that in the beginning about, contemplating suicide. I mean, that was real for me. And it really felt like that was my only option in that moment. However, what ended up happening was I became really angry at the fact that I had really been obedient to God since I was 5 and, had really, gone out of my way to be extra kind to people and to be a good person. And so I really got indignant in thinking that all of that was in vain and that it was never, noticed. And so in that moment of me becoming angry at God for what I thought was bringing me to the moment of wanting to end my life, I realized that I had never gotten the answers to 2 questions I had posed to him, which was, why did you give me these gifts and what are they for? And in that moment of screaming that you never gave me the answers to these gifts, something inside me shifted. And I realized that if I still wanted these answers, if they were so important to me, even seconds away from wanting to end my life, then I couldn't really want to end my life because those answers, having to get those answers that I wanted since I was a child, was very important to me, even in those moments. And so that really was a sobering moment for me to realize that you don't want to end your life. You really don't want to end your life. You just really are tapped out and you don't know what else to do. And not realizing, Dom, that really that's what God wanted. He wanted me to get to a point where I would give up completely, where I wouldn't want to resort to any of the other things that I thought was good enough for my life, which really weren't. I mean, I was not a bad person, but what I'm saying is I was really, I wasn't hitting the mark. I was not, on course of where he wanted me to be. And so going and seeing myself in this way, literally being at ground zero and not having, any more tricks in my bag, I knew that I had to surrender to God. And I knew that I had to ask him to be my teacher because I was missing something. And I knew that he had those answers. And so it was then where, my healing journey started. And it led me, a number of different places, but ultimately it led me back to who he created me to be. This gifted, highly gifted soul, and who hailed from two sides of people who had highly gifted healers as well. And so I realized then that there was no way that I could ever outrun what I had been trying to most of my life, which was these gifts.
Yes, indeed. And glad you're still alive and well and kicking to tell the tale, indeed. Because,
Yes.
funny enough, I think it was, even though it's really, truly not funny, but I think it was a couple weeks ago, I was some kind of YouTube video where there was statistics about during this whole CV nonsense and forcing people to stay indoors that it's more than cabin fever helping folks go crazy because they really can't get within themselves to be comfortable with themselves and end up committing suicide or wanting to commit suicide. So it's
Yes.
important that getting that message out there, really like, hey, there's a dark night of soul that we all have to go through at least once in our life to realize where we're gonna go. It's like, are we gonna transform or are we just
Yes.
gonna really just fall by the wayside? And it's good that you're able to find that strength and really transform as opposed to letting yourself terminate yourself.
Yes. Yes, for sure. Yes. And in that moment, of course, I invited God in, but I also just innately opened myself up and invited in my ancestors because somewhere deep down inside, I knew that they were a part of this journey as well, my healing journey. And I invited them in and I asked for their guidance and for their assistance in my healing. And they showed up as well. And so, because I'm able to channel and hear, I can actually connect to spirit world where I'm able to actually connect to not only my ancestors but anyone's ancestors that I'm working with. I was able to do that and hear them, and they were very instrumental in my healing because I was able to hear them and actually just transpose what they were saying to me, and I was actually able to write it down and capture it in my journal as I was healing. And so the information that came through is the same information that I use today to assist and guide other people who I'm blessed enough to guide through their healing journey.
Ah, there you go, assisting folks to heal. That's what I'm talking about. Helping them get on their stilettos. That's what I'm talking about. Yes,
Yes.
indeed. Yes, indeed. Guys, too, right? Let me stop. Don't do that.
Yes. Yes, yes. It's funny you would ask me that question. My work primarily, has been with women. I definitely partner with men as well in their healing. But I have, found that men, tend not to look for help because, again, just because of the way that they were raised on some levels. It's really rare that I will have men seek me out. Usually it's their wives, believe it or not, who will say, would you be able to help my husband? And ultimately I end up helping them both because when I do soul readings, which are really beautiful and comprehensive, it really just tracks their soul, where their soul has been most of their life. So all of their pain points is downloaded from their soul to mine, all of their family karma, which is drama primarily, all of their soul lessons. And then I connect to the ancestor who is primarily their main guide. And so they impart information for enlightenment as well. And so the soul reading by far is what people generally seek me out for because it really is comprehensive. It gives them their soul wounds, it gives them language to their pain, and they can see it and hear it, and it validates them on so many levels. And it also provides them hope because now they understand how they came to be and why they respond to pain the way they do, why they are not able to move forward. And so it helps them unpack all of that and it helps them to really see it for what it is. And so I give them the tools so that they can become students of their life. And so that's what soul healing is. When you work with me, you're getting Native American inspired soul healing, which asks you to become a student of your life.
Ah, I love it. Student of life. That's what I'm talking about.
Yes.
Even like the little one line you snuck in there, family karma is drama.
It is. It is. Because when I say family karma, some people, they don't really know what that means. They've heard it, but they really don't know what it means. And so when I say drama, they're like, oh, okay. Yeah. Yeah. This stuff that's just been going on for a long time and nobody thinks twice about it, but it's there. And it just continues to perpetuate generation to generation. And it could be a number of different things. It could be incarceration. Sometimes you see families where generally, that's just the theme in their family. Most of the people have been in and out of jail or serving life sentences or whatever. It could be an illness. It could be cancer, a theme of, just generational illness. It could be abandonment. Nobody stays around. Nobody knows how to stay. It could be abandonment, like I said, is really one of the higher ones. It could be divorce. Nobody knows how to stay married. Nobody knows or understands relationships, how to be in relationship with someone. So it's those things that generally people really don't think about as karma, but it is. And so the soul reading will identify your specific family's karma. And there's usually at least 4 or 5 different things that have been playing out unknowingly and invisible to the family. And then because of that, then we develop soul wounds because of that family karma. And so I'm able to identify your soul wounds as well. And then, of course, lastly, I'm able to tell you what your soul lessons are, which have everything to do with your soul wounds to be able to heal them. And so there's scenarios that are attached to these soul lessons. And so they come in different forms. They come in, conversations with people. They come in, just life events. And so depending on how you respond to these soul lessons is how you will either stay stuck and in turmoil, or that you'll recognize that it's a lesson associated with a soul wound, and you will respond differently in a more positive, uplifting way. Therefore, you will start your healing because the response is different.
Yeah. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. And if there's a possibility, because you mentioned if there's around 4 or 5 that you discover issues that you usually when you do the soul readings with families, does it usually increase if it's like a case, I guess in your case where it's biracial, where it's two different cultures mixing together?
Well, I generally when I'm doing the reading, I'm generally usually pulling in one side of the family. But what I have discovered is that the other side generally mirrors that on some level because we're usually attracting what we need to heal. And so it's similar in nature, if that makes sense. And so, because I just described how we can respond differently, when somebody pushes your buttons, you either let them do it and you become aggravated and angry, which keeps you stuck and stagnant, or you recognize that this is a soul wound of mine and this is a lesson that I could master and respond differently to. And so when you have that consciousness, then you're less likely to stay stuck and you're actually progressing forward. And so when I do the reading, I'm generally pulling on the one side that's most dominant. But like I just mentioned, I also find that these are similar on the opposite side as well, if that makes sense.
Ah, okay, all right. Because I was a little curious. I'm like, okay, so if it's multiple races combining, and it's like, okay, so do some of their issues, if they're different, come and just make this whole conglomerate that you have to deal with.
Yes, a melting pot.
Well, that too.
Mhm. Mhm.
Just make
Mhm.
sure no smoke comes out of it,
Right.
especially if they smoke that pot. Oh, man. But yesterday, some solid stuff right there, some solid stuff. And the fact that you mentioned how you usually attract what you need to heal, it's like, okay, wow. It kind of
Yeah.
makes sense. It's kind of like that whole law of attraction in
Yes.
action.
Mhm. Mhm. It's true. But most people, we're not focused on that. We're not thinking like that, number one. And so you miss the opportunity to recognize, oh my goodness, like, this is usually where I go south and I'm usually wrong, and I'm usually, aggravated again and and I'm upset about something and I can't put my finger on it. Most people don't go that far. They don't lean in and say, why does this keep happening? Like this is deja vu all over again. Different person, but same scenario. Like most people will not become curious enough to look into it. And that's one of the things that I get the people who partner with me to do is to become curious. I want them to become so curious about their life, that they just get excited about getting these answers. And so the whole lens of your life changes when you become a student of it because you want these answers and you need these answers in order to move forward and to heal. And so the Native American tradition is that, we look for these answers without blame. We're not blaming anyone. We're not looking to point fingers, or, to shame anyone about anything that occurred. We're really looking for the answers. So again, that we can know better. Now we understand. You're getting all of your whys answered when you become curious. And the more curious you are, the more conscious you become. Because most people are numb on an automatic pilot, or they're somewhat conscious, but again, not to the level of consciousness that's warranted in order for you to really look at your life in a different way. And so I tell people, you spoke and so did I about suicide. That's real. I've been there. I know what it feels like to want to give up and feel like that's your only option. But I also now know that that turmoil that I was carrying, that angst that was in the pit of my stomach, was really trying to spur me on to look for something more. Because at the end of the day, we all really, really know that we're something special. Even the people who don't really want to believe it, they know it's true. And they're disappointed when they start thinking about suicide because of that. And so I say, don't take your life. Become curious about your life. Become curious about it because it's that curiosity that's going to take you somewhere that you never thought.
Oh, yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. And there is true power in curiosity. And funny enough, some people don't want to be curious because they see it as being nosy. So, any advice for those who have a lack of curiosity to really change that mindset to make that shift to being more curious about themselves?
I would say if you could just write down the first three events in your life that were either painful or traumatic that has happened to you from childhood up until now, just pick three. And I would say, based on those three, do they have similarities? Is there a theme to it? What emotions were involved in them? Were you asked not to even express your feelings? And if you weren't allowed to express them, then what would you have said? What would you have done? How did you really feel? If you can answer those questions, then you're starting to create curiosity. And that's what it takes in order for you to be able to unpack your emotions and go back in time to get the answers so that you can bring them forward and that you can start to correlate how you respond now with how you responded back in time. Believe it or not, our emotional framework, which is what we use to respond to emotionally charged situations, pain, trauma, is already developed by the time that we're 7. So if you are conscious and aware of certain events that occurred, more than likely you're still using the emotional framework that you developed back then, right now. And when I say that to people, it can be kind of funny and or scary if you think that you're however old you are as an adult, but you're still using the emotional framework of a 7-year-old. Pretty interesting, right? And then you can start to think, maybe that's why I don't feel right. You're exactly right.
Huh. I guess once an adult, twice a child for a reason, huh? It's like, yeah, give me
Yeah.
nap time back metaphorically here. I'm still using my 7-year-old habits when I was 7 emotionally. It's like I'm really a big kid now.
Yes, I think we all are in some levels, for sure.
Oh yeah, it's definitely true. I just need to find myself a propeller hat to make it even more true. It'd be beautiful.
If you find one, send me one, Dom. I like those.
There you go. Be on a Zoom call. It'd be like, oh Lord, what in the world?
Yes, yes, I can see it.
It's like, yep, this is part of the soul healing process. You
Yes.
awaken your inner child. It's like, okay, all right, now, okay, it makes sense.
Yes, for sure, for sure. Yes.
That's right. Probably even better than a Jason mask.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. Now that you I don't get me one.
But yes, indeed, good times, indeed, good times. And that is so interesting too. And I guess that probably explains so much that's going on around the world. It's like, man, we're still using stuff that we had access to and mastery of, or even was aware of when we were 7 years old. And it's like, okay, so what happens at 45?
Yeah,
the,
right.
the 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 age, the age.
Yeah, exactly. Well, the thing is, like I said, so it's developed by 7. However, as we mature, we take more defenses into our arsenal. So we have those memories, that we've experienced emotionally. And most of us have never been taught how to respond to emotional pain. I haven't met one person yet who told me that their parents expressed this to them, that they were open and they were allowed to, just whatever was going on in their world that made them upset or sad or whatever, that it was okay, that they expressed it, that it was reinforced, that it was okay. Most people who I work with was never given, the correct way to be able to respond to pain. And so because of that, we adopt our parents. And so most of them were doing the same thing that their parents were doing, which was grin and bear it. You don't really express your feelings. You don't cry. You don't, you might even not even say, I love you. So that is passed down. That's a part of the karma. So that's passed down generation to generation. We don't do this, or there's a lot of unspoken things that people don't even talk about, but they adopt because it's just a part of their upbringing. And so that is translated into my own emotional framework. And then as I mature, I adopt other ways to keep it intact and to stay numb. And so, depending on how old a person is, I mean, they have a whole arsenal that they can actually go and at any given moment when things occur. And that's what they're using. And unfortunately, that is, counterintuitive to the way that we were made. And that's why it all feels bad. It feels bad because it's not the way we were designed or created.
Oh, yes, indeed. That's right, because we were created to be greater. That's right.
Yes.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. So, and speaking of greater, and you're on this great interview tour, is there a question that you wish radio/podcast interviews would ask you more often when you're doing chats like these?
I like to have fun. So I really appreciate this interview because we laughed a lot. I think, when people read my bio and they have a different version of me in their mind and they're thinking, wow, this lady is, she's not like us, but I am. I am. I have the best of both worlds, I say. I'm tapped into spirit world for sure. But I'm also here. I'm here to help and serve. And so I guess maybe to answer your question, if somebody was to say, how do you stay grounded? How do you stay here? Um, I would say I do a lot of meditating for sure because I'm able to mentally visit spirit world, which is beautiful, by the way, peaceful, just just love times a thousand, a thousand, a thousand, a thousand, a gazillion times. Just the vibration is just so beautiful. So I go there often throughout the day. And when I come here, it really takes a lot for me to just stay grounded and to be here on some levels, especially now with everything that is going on right now. I can really tap into the collective heaviness of everybody's hearts and their worry. And so I really meditate a lot. I pray a lot for everyone because really this is trying times right now. And like you mentioned, there's a lot of people who don't know how to be alone with themselves. It's scary, and they don't want to think about things that happened when they were children, and they try to escape that. And right now you really can't escape it. Depending on where you live, you might be able to for a little bit, but really you really can't escape it. I just really think that it's just really heavy for people right now, and I just really want them to know that this is not going to be our forever. This is really giving everyone an opportunity to really go deeper and to do that work, because you have the chance to do it, because life was so busy before and there were so many distractions, so many things that we could escape and get into, but now we don't have those things. And so I would really just say, if they're having, they don't know where to start, that they would, reach out. I know that you'll give my information. I would be honored, to speak to your listeners. I'm actually offering a clarity call. If they go to my website, they'll see a soul clarity call. It's actually 30 minutes free. And I'll offer that to your listeners so they can go there and I can spend some time with them and actually talk to them about the steps that they need to take in order to start to unpack their life.
Oh, yeah, that's what I'm talking about. That clarity call, indeed. So put on your glasses, folks, and open your door because this box is coming. That's right. Get to unpack some goodies with the fabulous Deneen right here.
Yes.
That's right. She's going to help you find your sunny delight. That's right. Metaphorically. Yeah, man. But yes, indeed, yeah. Because you're definitely right though. Because we're all human at the end of the day. No matter how many titles, no matter how many wins, we're all human. Just some think differently, and some don't, and some have different journeys and stories that can resonate with a certain group, and they can resonate with others. And it's great that at the end of the day, we can all still help each other out in some way or another. That's what I'm talking about right there.
For sure.
Ah, yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. So, coming down to the question that every guest gets to receive, and that is if you were to wake up tomorrow and you were 25 again, but this time in 2020 with all of your knowledge, experience, and no stay at home orders, what advice would you give to yourself?
Oh, that would be beautiful. I'm telling you, because I was actually a social worker when I was 25, and it was pretty busy during that time frame. So, in order for me to be able to be at home and not have to necessarily be out like I was would be really a gift. So I would tell myself to enjoy it. Enjoy the time that you're home and you're able to spend time with your son, and just don't take it for granted, because it's just a moment in time. It's not going to be forever.
That's right, folks. That's right. That's right. It won't be forever. It'll be like that common album in '06, Finding Forever. You'll be finding it, but it won't be forever. That's right. Yes, indeed. Woohoo! Well, that's what I'm talking about right there. That's what I'm talking about. So, for those who want to keep in magical contact with you, one more time for the magical folks with the headphones on.
You can go to my website, deneenjoyner.com. You can follow me on Instagram, same, Deneen Joyner. If you'd like to email, Deneen at deneenjoyner.com.
Woohoo! Well, there you have it, folks. Going out there, head over to a social media page or slide into a DMs. Get that clarity. Get all the magical clarity. That's right. Or should I say the Deneen messenger box, the DMs. That's what I'm talking about. Yes, indeed.
I love it.
That's right. Now you get to think of DMs in a new light, especially if you get that 30-minute clarity call. Yeah, that's right. In the words of the cocky version of me, darn, I'm good. That's right. Got to link those together. Well, all right. For those who want to put themselves in the darn, I'm good box and still listening, what's the parting words? What's the final words from the fabulous Deneen, the delightful Deneen?
I hope that they will go out to get my book, Soul Wounds and Sacred Revelations, which is my spiritual memoir that I mentioned earlier in the conversation. It will help you tenfold. It really will. You will see yourself in my story. And it also provides a blueprint to begin your healing journey. And then if you want to take it a step further, then of course you could reach out to me and we can have a conversation about working together. But do something, whatever it is, whatever your heart tells you, it's time. It's time to do something.
Thanks a bunch for your listening ears on the Going North podcast. I hope you really, really enjoyed that episode. If you enjoyed the episode, be sure to share it with your friends and family, especially those who love podcasts and love listening to some inspiration and motivation.